Greetings, fellow organic egg enthusiasts. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And Dragon, we're back. We're talking a little curb your enthusiasm. But this week, Dragon, we're a little disgruntled.
Are we Big D disgruntled or Little D disgruntled? That's the question.
I would say little D just because I did really enjoy this episode. I don't know if this episode reaches quite the heights of episode one, just because I think episode one, the whole Brookie debacle was kind of like Curb at the height of its powers. But I will say I think this episode was definitely, for me personally, a nice kind of like we're kind of back on the right track. I don't think the last two episodes have been bad by any means, but not the strongest that we've seen from Curb. This time, I rather like this episode, Dragon. I think it was a pretty strong set of events. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this one had a little bit more of a balance than last week's did. Not that we didn't enjoy talking about last week's episode. Just this one I feel was a little kind of balanced the heightened a little bit. That kind of later Curb could get a little heightened, and that was kind of my gripe with last week's episode. This felt rooted in classic Curb, but Mr. Takahashi, we go a little heightened, a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I like this. I think this one, again, interestingly, it seems we kind of did an arc here where there was another kind of a 2 episodes that kind of led into another to an extent here. I mean, like not. I can't say directly like again episode 1 and 2, but I don't know. It still feels like we're at the club again, which usually we don't do. Like 2 episodes in a row at the club.
Yeah, I kind of feel like this season there's a lot of connective tissue. But you know what? One of my predictions that just wildly fell on its face, Dragon, is that after episode 1, I was like, "Oh, Maria Sophia, she's going to be the main antagonist."
Yeah,
nope, I was wrong about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what we're doing is it really seems like this season is kind of like the like obviously the big narrative is kind of like Larry David kind of having a brush with liberalism, but then it also feels like the subplot of this season, not necessarily even a subplot per se, but a mission statement, if you will. It's just kind of like doing a little bit of a best of, a little bit of a mix of different things that have worked in the past, kind of remixing them.
Yeah.
All right. So we have Little Blue in the comments. He says, "I had no idea Curb has been going on for years. The show took 1 year break sometimes, and this year it'll be coming to an end." And then Kogia says, "I think that Curb's one of those shows that stopped and started up again." Yeah, Dragon, you could probably speak more about this than I can, but from what I know about Curb, there were some seasons where it was like Larry, like I don't think he ever officially closed the book on it, but he was basically like, I know that he could take at least a couple years between seasons from time to time when, it was kind of just one of those things where it's like, let's just wait till the moment's right and we actually have a good idea for a season kind of things. Am I right about that?
Yeah, essentially Larry David, you got to remember when Larry David did Seinfeld, he was very much every season he thought was going to be his last. Okay, as in he did not intend like, for example, everyone was shocked when he actually, left after 7 seasons. And even then, like season 8, he came back to do the voice of George Steinbrenner still. So in that respect, Curb was never a certainty. In that, I want to say in the first 5 years it was pretty consistent. Now, mind you, I don't have like the listing of the seasons in front of me right now. I'm just going off memory here. If memory serves, 5 there was kind of a break between 5 and 6, and then basically I want to say the Michael J. Fox season, which I think was season 8, because Manuel Miranda was 9. After 8, there was a big gap between 8 and 9, and then basically there's like, yeah, it's pretty much just when Larry David feels like getting the band together. Everyone's kind of like not necessarily waiting by the phone, but just kind of like out of a curiosity, like, oh, he's ready to do more curb. All right, they can never trust the reliability of Larry David because he just does it on a whim, and because of that, the writing is very natural and it's just very much it feels genuine, and he's gestated on it, like he's not in a rush. So he's very, it's kind of the Christopher Nolan of the HBO comedy, one could say. He does it
Sure,
when he
sure.
feels like it.
All right. Well, let's just go ahead and break down this episode, Dragon. We started in like what I felt was a very kind of classic, like early old school curb kind of setup where we have an anonymous letter.
Yes, the
Something that would
famed.
happen in the days before smartphones, kids.
Yes, and to be fair, it's a Ocean View Golf Club. It's very much, probably a little bit skewing towards the elderly demographic, the older school. The guys are pretty much like, a little less smartphones, a little more like, yeah, what's on the board. Let's check the bulletin board.
Mhm.
So we have this disgruntled call out of the Ocean View golf course, and Mr. Takahashi's BS just in an open letter here, and by all accounts, it does sound like a whole listing of things Larry David actually would have grievances with, and everyone thinks, particularly Takahashi thinks it's Larry David,
Was it
but
you,
again,
funny guy?
you funny guy. And again, I think even though you've seen a little bit of Takahashi, I'm sure, like bits and pieces here. But
Bits and pieces, yeah.
did you get the Swan? Is the Swan episode in 6, or am I thinking of 7?
Oh man, I don't think the Swan episode's in 6, but I've heard of the Swan episode. That
Yeah,
is a famous
yeah.
episode.
The Swan episode is an example of broad curb for me. But
Mhm.
yeah, but again, Takahashi is really, because of that Swan episode, he's very linked with broad curb. Anyway, but yeah, so we have this laundry list of kind of grievances with the management of the club, and I got a bit. A lot of this sounds justifiable here. Like, the turkey, they're paying, like, God, like a king's ransom to go to this upscale club, and it's not deli turkey. It's not fancy turkey. It's just very store bought.
Dragon, I would like to think that this episode is in some ways kind of a commentary on unionizing,
I think maybe a little
where
bit.
it's like if one person voices an opinion, then it's just going to turn into like, okay, like, are we going to stand behind it, or are we going to, be cowards and not say anything about it?
Yeah, and then we have like
Because
the
everyone at
stale,
the club like agrees with it, but it's not until the last bit of the episode where anyone is willing to actually come forward about it.
because they're all intimidated by Mr. Takahashi.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, like all the very valid complaints there, but particularly like the whole, like, all the bread. The bread has always been stale. It's never fresh. The golf carts are old as dirt, and now mind you, these are all very one percenter problems, but still,
Very
in the
much so, yes.
mind you, the big one, of course, this one is probably the big giveaway that might be Larry David. No benches. This whole no benches thing is ridiculous.
Right, right.
Whole aesthetic benches thing. Anyway, so again, Larry David, as he points out to Takahashi and many people throughout the episode, he is disgruntled, but little d disgruntled, not big D disgruntled. He is not the disgruntled is like written at the end of the letter with in all caps. So disgruntled. He's not disgruntled, but
He just kind of like walks around life with just kind of like an air of disgruntled energy about
I love.
him
Of course,
constantly.
the one thing about Larry David is just the forthright nature of him. He says, "I am disgruntled," and later on, he's like going, "Yes, I scowl all the time. I will admit to murmuring, but I am not disgruntled. I am disgruntled, but I am not disgruntled." Okay, now I had the most relatable curb moment in this episode yet. I got to be honest, at least
Really?
to some degree. The battle of the breakfast battle.
The battle of the breakfast.
Yeah, I've had something tantamount to this. It's not
No, I
verbatim
feel it. I
as
feel it. I feel like this is again a very classic Curb Your Enthusiasm kind of observational humor right here.
yes. So basically, the club won't do breakfast at 11:10. Now, this is a very relatable problem for me in that here's the thing. I lucked out on this as time has gone on. McDonald's, for example, McDonald's does they do fries all day now.
Do they
Okay,
now?
so
I didn't know that. That's good
yeah.
information.
Well, that's the thing, they do fries all day. Here's the thing, okay? They do fries all day, but if you have like a newbie starting out, you have a new person there, there's going to be that trepidatious moment of like, oh, I'm sorry, with this, it's not 11 yet, or it's not 10:30, depending if it's the weekday or not. You know, it's not. But I'm in that position, or Larry David.
Although, granted, I will advocate McDonald's hash browns do in fact slap.
Well, be that as it may, Tiki, I want fries, and they can do both.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
The fact is, the whole like the moment of like, can you ask? You know, I've been there. You know, just towards the whole thing. Like, I don't want to tell this person they're wrong, but it's like, is there a manager around? Can you just can you ask
Mhm.
can you ask the manager? But I'm not trying to get him in trouble or anything. It's like, look, I just need someone to explain it to him because I don't want to just like shut him down. I don't want to be that like, entitled guy. Just say
So
like,
this,
no, this is the usual thing they do here. It's fries all day. That's the creed. I know you're new
right,
here,
right.
but I don't want to make that presumption. You know.
So this situation, much like the best of Curb, I feel like some of it Larry's in the right in with the whole, the timetable of it all. But Dragon, I draw the line with Larry at asking the chef to cook your own
I
eggs
know.
that you brought from home.
We're very
I draw the
simpatico.
line at
Okay.
that, sir.
Here's the okay. I think I'm gonna make a leap here. Okay, you and I are probably on the same page on this. Okay, here's the thing: eggs should be an all day food at a club like this. Okay, the
I
eggs
am
should be an all.
allergic to eggs, so I don't really have a dog in this
Oh,
fight.
okay, let's assume for a moment you were not allergic to eggs. Would you be on my side?
I mean, I guess so. I
Really?
honestly don't feel too strongly about it one way or another, but I guess
Look,
so.
I don't like eggs either. Okay, I'm just saying
I'm
for
not.
the operative.
So what you're saying is you're not the villain from The Land Before Time 2. You don't covet a good egg.
That is true, Tiggy.
I'm sorry, I saw the reference and I had to take it.
I'm so glad you steered me away from my egg point for this. But yes. Okay, now seriously, I understand the egg. You can do many things with the egg. You can do scrambled eggs, obviously, but also the omelet. The omelet is the operative point. Where the omelet is an all day food. You
I
can have
do
an
think that
omelet.
Susie made a good point about like most restaurants do have an omelet at lunch.
Exactly, and plus people could have hard boiled eggs all day if they wanted to.
Mhm.
You know, so that's the thing. The egg should be an all day thing.
And then the
Okay,
Cobb salad workaround too.
I love the Cobb salad worker. It's a very good point. We're like, well, all the ingredients for breakfast are there. If someone wore a Cobb salad, you're making breakfast anyway, so why not just offer the bread? It's not really taking you that far out of your way.
I will say though, when I see the people protesting about the eggs, I will say, yeah, you do have to kind of have a cutoff somewhere, right?
I
So
think the cutoff is
it's very
simple.
much like a morally ambiguous issue, I think.
I think the cutoff is this: allow the eggs, but no pancakes. Okay, that's
That's
fair
fair. That's
compromise.
totally fair. That's
Okay,
totally fair.
if it's an actual breakfast, for example, you can have toast all day because it's toast. You can have eggs all day because again, eggs have multi purposes. But you can't do you can't do waffles or pancakes all day. Okay, that I think is a fair compromise.
What if it's chicken and waffles?
No, that doesn't count.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Anyways.
Anyway, as I'm saying, they have the option of chicken or waffles if they really want. Plus, you can have waffle fries if you're that dead set.
Oh my
on
god!
Okay,
You can't put maple syrup on waffle fries.
I'm not saying you do. I'm saying it that way. Look, you've made your bed. You were coming after breakfast. If unless you're at a diner, diner is the exception. A diner is a breakfast all day kind of operation. At least that's what it should be.
That
okay?
I will agree with you on.
The diner is Switzerland. The diner is like makes everyone happy. Okay, it's the Bavarian, it's the Bavarian consulate, however you want to slice it. Okay, the point being, though, yeah, so the Cobb salad workaround. By the way, fun little nod to the grandfather invented the Cobb salad.
Oh my god, yes, you're right.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so you're absolutely right, though. It's ridiculous. Larry David bringing his own organic eggs to the restaurant, expecting them to make those eggs. That's where he loses the sympathy there. Everything else, I'm on board with him for.
I mean, you might as well, like the server does have a good point. It's like you might as well just be strutting to the back of the kitchen, being like, "Hey, chef, I don't think your eggs are good enough for me."
Which ultimately he does.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all that said, Tiki, this server, Very, very snotty server here.
I will agree to that too.
She's
She just has
she's
an air of
copping a major headache.
superiority to her.
That's what I'm saying. Like you can kind of tell she's kind of basking in almost to a degree. I'm not saying she's getting like, great pleasure from it, but still, you can tell that she's done this a lot, and there's no sympathy of the breakfast shutdown. Like, there's no she's faking that sympathy.
You know what really bugged me? The
It's an
thing that kind of like
insincere.
threw me over the line.
The insincere. I'm sorry. Or do you mean the whole thing of like, oh yeah, because don't.
No, the whole thing about the breakfast loophole. Like, you're not the first person that's tried, Mr. David.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, multiple people have tried. Then why don't you just do it?
Very good point. But just the very snarky waitress of like, yes, I'll go tell the chef that their eggs aren't good enough for you. Which, I mean, look, even if she's right about just voicing that,
Which she is.
Yes, she is. She doesn't have the right to say that to him, though.
I feel you.
You know, I'm not saying she's wrong, but that is very rude for her just to say that. Mainly because of all the other points, the valid points that he did make, and is making him feel like an idiot until he actually does something moronic. So now any legitimacy she would have it's flushed down the toilet.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but again, so the whole "can you ask" thing. All right, so Larry David, we're having some conversation. The whole why, you're probably wondering why the egg thing. Tiki, tell him why the egg thing. Why does he need the organic eggs? Why does he not like the antioxidants?
Well, I mean, I'm guessing it's mostly an Irma thing, honestly.
Yeah, that's the thing. It feels like an Irma thing, and of course, Irma has like so many chemicals, and that Larry David could grow a breast, and of course, Larry David with breast
be pretty cute, pretty cute.
You know, it's funny that one of the volumes of Curb Your Enthusiasm technically has a Larry David with breast.
Really? Oh no!
I say okay. So seriously, you got to look in like the box art on the Curb Your Enthusiasm seasons because they're all wonderful. And season,
I saw one. I think it's box art where it was like just Larry ranting to a therapist, and the therapist just with his hands buried, his head buried in his hands.
I don't. That's either 6, 7, or 8.
Yeah, that was great. I feel like that sums up the show to a T.
It does. So all the box art, at least let me put it this way, all the box art to a certain point, like probably outside of the first, I don't know, maybe first 2 seasons. It gets interesting after that because one's like just him sitting in a chair, but not like a therapist, just sitting in a chair. Another one's probably just his face, and then after that, they got really creative with it. Anyway, so in season 5, I think you have this thing where it's this beautiful artwork where it's Larry David's face on everyone's body, and of course, you have some females in that crowd. So ergo, Larry David breast. But beside that, it's the idea we're all Larry David. That's the significance of like we're all a little bit Larry David.
Sure.
Anyway, so let's see. Oh, this I wonder if you caught this. We mentioned Irma's sponsor.
Yeah. What about it?
Okay, so Drew Powell, who was from the show Gotham, he played, he plays the sponsor here. And of course, we love him. Now, his name is revealed in this episode. His name is Cyrus, which is the real name of Butch Gilzean, who is Solomon Grundy. So Cyrus Gold.
Oh, that totally went over my head.
So I completely forgot that's what they named him in the episode. I went on the rewatch, like, oh my god, they called him Cyrus. Right. Solomon. I think it's completely by accident. I don't know if maybe they asked Drew Pell, like, hey, Drew, what do you want to be called? Cyrus.
Dragon, what are you talking about? Larry David is the ultimate deep cut Gotham fan, sir.
Don't toy with my emotions like that. Larry David be the perfect clock king.
Oh God.
Anyway, so this is interesting to me. Cyrus, he suggested couples therapy, which is a horrible idea, and him putting Larry David in an impossible position.
It is, yeah. You know what? I didn't even think about it that way, but you're right. I feel like Cyrus, if anything else, he might have. I really want to see more of him because I feel like his character might have the potential to be, if not like the big bad of the season, at least like an antagonistic figure.
I think he's basically unloading Irma onto Larry, so he doesn't have to be your sponsor anymore.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
That's what it feels. It feels like Larry David did a really nice gesture for the good old lovable Drew Powell, who is now basically going to offload him onto Irma. His thing, but he laid out at the top of the season. He laid out the whole 6-month thing. Now we've revealed, visually at least, it would seem 4 months out of the 6 months have gone by at this point.
Oh,
yeah. All right.
I feel like the season is kind of like with the Irma stuff. I feel like we're kind of building to like a big breakdown with Irma, especially with her sobriety. I feel like we're definitely going to see her fall off the wagon by the end of the season.
And we learn again a little retroactively because we did not see, now that we mentioned what happened, we definitely didn't see this at the end of last season.
No, we definitely did not.
Thank goodness. Like, a little Catholic cross there. Like, thank goodness. Apparently,
I almost feel like it's almost a little bit of a retcon to her character, to tell you the truth.
Apparently, Irma had off screen, she had kind of like a Nev Campbell meltdown. Like, Nev Campbell had this movie where she was drunk on her birthday and she had like this naked rant in like a restaurant or something. So she kind of had like basically walked in there and Irma's like, had almost had like a fugue state of sorts, but probably under the influence of alcohol, like at the city council, and that led her to AA.
Oh, God.
Yeah. At least that's what she mentions in this episode.
Uh-huh.
All right, let's see. So again, we mentioned the egg uproar and just everyone wants breakfast now. Look what you did. Some butter. But here's I love the thing about this. Here's a running theme for the season. Larry David, he's breaking the inconvenient rules this season, like the whole water in Atlanta, breakfast, eggs.
Yeah, that is a little bit of a running theme. You're right.
Larry David's trying to break the rules for the common good. Because
also the bench, arguably, too.
Yeah, no, you're right. A little bit of the bench, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Willie Geist, is that how we say his name, or Willie Guest?
I guess. I think Willie Geist.
Right, Willie Geist here. Do you know anything?
I'm not really familiar with him because I'm not an LA local. He seems like a big deal in LA.
That's what I'm saying. So I believe this episode. This feels like a case of where we got like kind of like a. No, let's just say not Anderson Cooper, maybe a few rungs under Anderson Cooper in terms of,
I'd say this dude is like in a different league below Anderson Cooper.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's in collect. Everyone loves Anderson Cooper. No question there. So Anderson Cooper is wonderful.
I respect the hell out of Anderson Cooper.
I love. Look, I barely know anything about Anderson Cooper. I love him.
The big thing with Anderson Cooper, I respect the hell out of is he was pretty much the journalist that brought the spotlight onto bullying as an epidemic in schools.
Really? That was him?
Yeah, that was pretty much him. Yeah.
Man, Anderson Cooper just gets cooler the more
I know.
Okay, let me tell you what the one. Okay, real quick aside about Anderson Cooper.
Oh God.
Okay. One of my favorite things about Anderson Cooper is in Patrick Stewart's show Blunt Talk, which I assure you none of our audience has seen. But in the show Blunt Talk,
what is it?
Okay. Patrick Stewart had a show Seth MacFarlane produced for him called Blunt Talk. I think it's based. It has like a basis in like Walter Blunt was like a character, and then Patrick Stewart kind of along with MacFarlane and the showrunner turned into this basically Patrick Stewart playing a news anchor, and it's a comedy. And it's good. It's no Curb Your Enthusiasm, but it is fun. This basically, Patrick. It's good to see Patrick Stewart not playing, Jean-Luc Picard or Professor Xavier for a change. He's having fun with
that. That is always nice. Yeah.
And he's basically playing this very dysfunctional news anchor who basically aspires to be Anderson Cooper, and he loves Anderson Cooper. It's a running gag. He keeps it's just you hear Patrick Stewart say, "Oh, Anderson Cooper," he wants to be Anderson Cooper. That's like the imperative through the show. He wants to be as important and beloved as Anderson Cooper.
That's great.
Anyway, so getting back to the episode. Anyway, so Willie Geist here. He's Jeff sets up. Jeff being a good agent, he sets up an interview.
Yeah, that's another thing that we're kind of going back to this season is Jeff the agent
closing the loop.
Mm-hmm.
So Jeff sets him up with an interview with him, and like an idiot, Willie Geist here. He tells Larry David that an unnamed source called him an a-hole.
This is just asking for trouble. I am absolutely on Larry's side with this. You don't like if that's the case, just don't disclose it to Larry. Come on,
exactly.
Man.
Why would you tell him that?
Yeah.
There was no point in telling him that, aside from like, yeah, everyone likes you, but this one person I can't tell you about.
But I do like that this is kind of like, that's almost kind of like the one thing about Willie that kind of like, it's sort of the thing that's going to bring their relationship, their professional relationship to a screeching halt.
Absolutely not. You know, okay, do you have a theory as to who the person is that called me a-hole?
Okay.
No, I'm asking, do you have a theory before I
Oh,
share?
do I? I'm sorry. I thought you said
Yeah.
you did.
Well, I do, but I want to know what yours is first. Like, what do you think?
I mean, if I were to guess, I would honestly say Ted.
Right? That's the thing. Seriously,
it's like Larry David. He's an asshole, man.
I think Larry Day was absolutely right when he said it's Ted Danson. Is yeah,
Yeah,
tell.
yeah.
I think he called it. I think he was right. I think it was Ted Danson. That's my headcanon.
I feel like a lot of times the most obvious answer is the correct answer.
Yeah. Now again, the other person would make sense. Mocha Joe.
Yeah, but is Mocha Joe even around anymore?
Well, we had that lawyer.
Well, that's that's true. God.
Wait, do you think that's Mocha Joe like playing the long con of revenge? Do you think?
Oh God, that would be crazy.
Okay, no. In all seriousness, though, okay, no, not around. However, he did have a very public feud with Larry David. So this guy, we're doing his due diligence. I mean, Larry David is literally giving away free coffee at a place that burned down. You know,
very true. Very true.
Right next door to the guy. That is a story worth looking into. Like, wow, I want to see it. Honestly, if in universe, I would love to see a Netflix docuseries on that whole rivalry.
Oh my God, dude, that'd be amazing. You mean like a mockumentary kind of thing?
Yes, I mean, I want to see like an in-universe, like, okay, this is like the story of them looking into, like, how did this happen? Let's find out.
Netflix did American Vandal, which for my money is
Yeah.
one of the absolute all-time great mockumentaries. So
absolutely. All right. So, but here's the I love Larry does get into the whole Mother Teresa. Like someone's probably called her. Oh yeah, she's helping the lepers. What an a-hole.
I feel that logic. I don't know about you, but I feel that logic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So
it's kind of like having a grudge against the coworker at work that works harder than you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of that kind of philosophy.
It's just the fact of like it's less. I think it's more of like who. The real question is it's only one person that thinks he's an a-hole because so many people have probably at some point thought Larry David's an a-hole, which is kind of the runner of the series.
You know what? I'm actually surprised that Larry didn't like make more of a meal out of that point.
Yeah.
I actually think like an earlier season of Larry might have taken that as a compliment.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, what do you know? Only one person called me an asshole. Hey, I'm doing good. You know what I mean?
Okay, so in closing the loop this season, they had to do it at least once. Hopefully it'll come back, but if not, we at least got it in there. Larry David did the lie detector look, which is one of my favorite things in Curb. I love it when he do that. Dun, 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 dun. He's looking around. He's basically my headcanon. This is ridiculous. I'm saying this half seriously. In Better Call Saul, I guess technically between Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, but we saw the bit in Better Call Saul.
Yes,
I would like to think because the years would line up.
You would like to think that Tuco Salamanca is a Larry David fan, Dragon.
I would like to think.
You would like to think.
I would like to think that Tuco Salamanca was watching Curb Your Enthusiasm in the early because it's been there since the beginning.
I know.
I would like to think that Tuca Salamanca is just watching HBO at his grandmother's house.
Hey, Tio, this old Jewish guy's a crack up.
I'm just saying, like him because you've seen like I don't know. Did you? I forget if you watched season 3 all the way through now. Like Crazy Eye Killa was in an episode. And Crazy Eye Killa, he's a pretty.
I have not watched season 3 now.
Oh, that's the thing. So in season 3, there's an episode called Crazy Eye Kill, which is a very tough rep guy. So in theory, you could.
4 is the theater season, right?
Season 4 is the producer's season. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've seen 4, but I have not seen 2 or 3.
See, I love season 3.
Okay.
Mainly because I love my favorite finale is season 3, without question. Honestly, it might be my favorite episode of Curb. I love the finale of season 3. Anywho, the point being, in somewhere in that season, probably episode 8 or something, they have like an episode called Crazy Eye Killa, and essentially is a very street, very tough kind of rapper guy who Larry David earns instant street cred with this guy. So it does kind of paint the picture that maybe Tuco respects Larry David because he just goes out and says it. It would also, if you want to go to a headcanon thing, maybe that's why he respects Walter White to some degree because he's
Dragon, yeah.
Look,
Let's
again,
go with that.
Look, I know I'm being silly, but in all seriousness, the thing about it, though, Doogie's just watching it and he's like him doing that thing. It maybe amused him, like, I'm gonna try that because he does like the human lie detector thing as Nacho Dreads. So what if Tuco took this silly thing, and he turns it into like he tried to adopt it into his business practices to psych people out.
Code Geass, yes, Dragon does very much like Better Call Saul. We're both big fans.
Yes.
All right.
Anywho, okay, the point being he's doing the lie detector thing, always great music cue, and it's fun. Okay, so it's therapy time, Tiki.
Indeed. Oh god. We get the JG Wentworth callback.
Yep.
Which is great. You know what's great about that is that song has in fact been in my head since that episode.
God. Okay, so Susan.
Specifically Tracy Ullman's version of that song, I will say.
It is. It's really great. It was such a great introduction for us. Larry David's like off like in the foreground, just that's her big entrance, like singing.
Right.
It was a great reintroduction for her. Just like what is going on in the house of David?
Okay, so we have a familiar face as the therapist. Dragon, we've not seen. Have we seen her husband before on the show at all?
Okay, so just in case you're curious. Okay, so him saying this guy's a Seinfeld writer. Well, yes, we've seen the actor who plays her husband. Now, that's Rob Riggle.
Okay,
Anyway,
so it's not the actual Seinfeld writer.
That thing. So this guy he's fictitiously made up for like.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, that makes sense.
It's like basically, what if a Seinfeld writer had a wife who was in therapy? I don't know if there's a real life basis on like I don't. The name Turner does not ring a bell. I don't think there was a Seinfeld writer with the last name Turner. I could be wrong on that because there have been a number of writers who've kind of like they do kind of almost like a freelance thing for Seinfeld. It's like Fred Schroeder, for example. He was a writer temporarily. He wrote an episode or two, played in an episode, and then he was kind of gone. So sometimes the writers are kind of in and out. Then again, you have your lifers like Tom Gamble, for example. He's there for a while, and he goes on to do some episodes a month. So anyway. Point being, this is basically what is we have. Melanie Turner here, who is, at least in universe here, married to a Seinfeld writer, so ipso facto, huge, whopping conflict of interest here.
Oh, this lady is like a shit therapist to even
absolutely. This is like the
clients. Honestly,
she's such a terrible therapist.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like rule number one that she breaks, like this is not the kind of people that you take on as clients. You don't mix therapy and friendship. It just cannot be done.
We literally have a gag where our time is up. Let's go to lunch. It's
exactly.
Like, no.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, so a huge conflict of interest. Irma just like plows through. Like, yeah, let's do it. And again, Melanie being very unprofessional here is terrible. Like she should have her degree revoked or sort of license suspended. However you want to do that. Anyway, so we see Melanie has no business being in couples therapy for many reasons. One, there's no mediation at all. She's just literally having them complain about each other. Mainly the women, if you notice. Only the women.
Yeah, pretty much.
So she's one of those therapists. She's like a divorce therapist, essentially. Anyway, so we have that going on. I love the gag of hearing the other side of the office, which is like the doctor's office nearby.
I love that gag too. That's classic Curb humor right there, and I love how it pays off throughout the episode.
I just love instantly. Just Jeff Garland's flawless with this. Like, I heard a sneeze. If it just stops instantly, just saying, if I can hear them, they can hear us. Yeah, it's
like we should just quickly mention that Jeff and Susie are in the waiting room right after Larry gets out.
Yeah, and they go in next, and that's when we get into like the big plot development. But I guess before then too, we have this weird thing where Larry David it's basically Irma. It's a question of like how crazy Irma is here. Like some of these things are they actual are they
Oh, I think
genuine?
Irma's insane with some of this stuff, honestly.
Like she's saying that like Larry David has an aversion to phallic shaped foods and like he's like stroking eggplants where it just doesn't sound like I don't believe he would do that, but I don't know. It's the idea of like
I
why are you
honestly think she's seeing stuff where it isn't there.
yeah, again, sometimes an eggplant's just an eggplant, Irma. No, but seriously, though, I do love. I just love that Larry Davis is calling out the many, at least in this instance here, the futility of therapy here. Just saying you're listening off insane things. There's no actual discussion going on here.
Mhm.
And also, just to show you how terrible a therapist Melanie is, she's talking about privileged information outside of the therapy sessions with her husband.
Yeah, that's the main thing. That could legitimately get her disbarred.
Yeah, like I don't know if disbarred is the right word, but yes.
You're right. It's not. I'm sorry.
T, I'm with you though, because I don't know what the
We're in
actual
Saul
term is.
mode, Dragon. I'm sorry.
I know. That's the thing. I don't know what the actual term is for like when you take it up to the medical board, but I don't know what you call
Discredited,
that.
maybe.
I don't know. I think it's just have like the you can't. I don't know if you can have a degree revoked. That's the weird thing.
License revoked.
That's a thing though. Is it a degree or a license for therapy?
I think it's a license.
Well, that's because you get a medical license even if you're a therapist, right?
Uh-huh.
I guess suspend. You can suspend or I guess completely revoke the medical license. I guess that's it. Anyway, so the fact of the matter is, like, you still have privileged information, like the whole long ball Larry thing, which is a callback.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It has been well established that I forget if it was in your season. I think it was in season 6. Season 6, they established that.
Yeah, they definitely mentioned it in 6. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something really horrible having Larry David in that episode.
God.
But yeah, anyway, so anyways, just like this is. Can I just say like no? You cannot just say. I just love him shouting that at her, just like no, you cannot just say like no. I told you no. You're asking me permission. I'm saying no, and she just goes along and says anyway. So it's a crap show of a couples therapy session. They go to lunch or they make lunch plans. Anyway, Jeff and Susie. Susie goes on and she reveals who Disgruntled really is.
And Jeff just instantly, I feel like he almost has a sixth sense about who's in the other room, right?
Yeah, but already he says, like, you do not have permission.
Yeah, like,
say,
do not talk about this shit. This is privileged information.
Yeah, and she goes on talking about it was like a little secret between him and Larry, and something again. Apparently, he told her, and again, the fact, like, it's kind of a message, like, don't tell your wives anything.
I do kind of like that he told her, but I agree at the same time.
Yep. Anyway, so very thin walls. On the other side, you have a doctor. And I love Jeff being really smart here because usually he can be lumbering, but here I love that Jeff. Right after the session, he runs and
literally Jeff's introduction on the show is putting Larry on speakerphone without telling him.
Exactly. So yeah, Jeff has kind of a nice, smart moment here. Where he runs and he looks at like all the doctor's office listings, and he sees Dr. Velchek, who he recognized. Oh no, he's the doctor from the club who's bestest buddies with Takahashi.
Mm.
Oh boy, so they cook up a plan. Tiki, what is said plan to get Jeff Green out of hot water?
They're gonna send Leon in there.
They're sending in
essentially.
They're sending in the big guns to do what?
By the way, Leon has the fucking line of the episode, Dragon.
That he does, without
Would
question.
you like to tell him?
No, you can tell him.
The person who invents corn chips on the cob is going to be fucking rich.
Oh, I thought you meant the other line.
No, corn chips on the cob killed me, Dragon.
I love the gesture.
Corn chips on the cob.
The best thing is like when he demonstrates him. He's eating the corn chip. And paint the visual picture of this is what the corn chip on the cob.
It is just such a Leon Black observation, is it not?
It is. So Leon visits the urologist, expecting a urine sample. while he's listening,
I'll piss in the cup. I'm into that shit.
We'll do it in a bowl.
Oh my god.
Larry David can do it on command. Doesn't even need water.
Oh, yes, I actually think Leon is the friend that Larry needs. I feel like Leon is kind of like he's the ultimate kind of like balance to Larry's energy.
If anything, it's the opposite, Code Geass. Is that no, he is the friend that Larry needs him, not the one he deserves.
Right. Also, just to shout out Smurfy's Law in the comments, just saying greetings. I love your name, Smurfy's Law. That's a very clever username. Anyways,
I can't really tell what the image is for the avatar. It looks kind of.
It looks Daft Punk-esque.
Well, no, not Daft Punk. You Daft Punk aficionado. No,
that's really an insult.
Yes, it is the very best. Now, take a look what it is. Like, put it up again. Throw it. That's the Robo. It's a big Alex Murphy. It's the RoboCop.
Oh, I think you're right. Okay.
So that's that Murphy Law. So,
Dragon, I see a robot helmet and I just think Daft Punk. I'm sorry.
Anyway, you saw Kurtwood Smith make us terrified. You can't remember that visor.
Oh, Smurfy's Law says it was a design that I made ages ago.
Yeah, it's a good design. Anywho, yeah. So, Leon, we have this hysterical argument on both sides, where Larry David is he's chewing out the therapist over like her husband with the eggs and everything. It's this ridiculously stupid argument. Because basically what happens, I guess to kind of give context before we get into the big payoff with Leon. So Rob Riggle plays Hobie, and this is fun though. We kind of use, I think strategically we use the Seinfeld writer to name drop the Seinfeld finale. Like here we mentioned, like, oh yeah,
that Seinfeld reference is great. Code Geass did point out in the comments that yes, Larry David did in fact infamously come back to write the Seinfeld finale.
Yep. So with that, I love that here he's just kind of tossing it off, like, yeah, you came back for the last one, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I sure did. Yep. That did in fact happen.
I gotta wonder though, in the whole cosmic kind of way things go, you think if the Seinfeld finale had been praised critically, like across the board, would we have a Curb Your Enthusiasm?
I don't think so. Not in the same form,
right?
At least.
That's the thing. Yeah. Okay, so
honestly, by all intents and purposes, I think Curb is a much better show than Seinfeld. With all due respect to Seinfeld.
Did you ever? You've never like really watched Seinfeld?
I haven't Dragon. I haven't binged Seinfeld, but I've never really been that into it. Honestly,
what I'm asking is like when the episodes you had watched on were they early episodes or was it like 4 on?
Dragon. My experience with Seinfeld is that I just it's like I'll just catch it on cable from time to time, so it goes all over the map for me as far as episodes I've seen.
Okay, well that's fair. It's fair. And mind you, 2 very different shows. One's a sitcom, one's very, very different.
No, I'm just saying. One led to something better.
That is true. Okay, so, so we have this thing where, he's going to forced to have this little sit down with already, Larry is not enjoying like a forced like lunch with the Seinfeld, or especially the uncomfortableness that his therapist /
I'm actually surprised there wasn't more pushback about the idea, honestly.
Well, remember, he has to go with what Irma says because he
can't. Right, yeah, that's the only reason, yeah.
Which is a good story contrivance where we put Larry David in these situations where, well, Irma, he's stuck with Irma.
It is a good story contrivance for sure.
Anyway, so for Larry David, this is hilarious to me. So they get there before lunch, and kind of pressures Irma into breakfast. Now, the way I read this,
I don't think he pressures her at all. I really don't. I am totally on his side. The waiter's there. Yeah. You order. It's fucking breakfast. How many options are there for breakfast? Come on.
No, I agree with you. Here's the thing. Okay, I absolutely am on Larry David's side for the fact that, like, okay, this waitress is already. Oh, she has a grudge. I think he's absolutely right. There's a grudge there with this waitress. Okay, and if she leaves that table, it's going to take longer than 10 minutes because
exactly,
10, 15, yeah, right. She's going to be and intentionally to make sure he does not get breakfast. Okay, so because of that, I think that's why he's like, again, like, we're going to do it while they're at the table already. It takes waiters and waitresses forever to circle back and kind of go around the room, but I agree with Larry David. Like, order while they're there. I too do this. I'm not the one who's like, come back to us. When you sit down at that table, you should know what you want.
Yeah,
At
I
the
feel that.
very least, if you've been there before, you should know what you want. Anyway, so so she feels like she's kind of makes an instinctive like goes to pancakes, which pancakes wonderful choice. That would be my breakfast. I would go silver dollar pancakes. What about you?
Are you asking me specifically what is my breakfast of choice?
Well, if you went to this country club and they had breakfast, what would you order?
Honestly, probably pancakes. Although I will say the pancakes that she gets don't really look that appetizing.
That's fair.
Um,
Which again, disgruntled.
I don't know. Maybe a good cinnamon roll if they had it. I'm
Okay,
big
so
into cinnamon rolls.
I like the cinnamon melt.
Pretty much the same thing.
No, you're right. It's pretty much the same thing. Honestly,
Anyways,
look, honestly, the Cinnabon and the cinnamon. I don't know. I think
Cinnabons are glorified cinnamon rolls, Dragon.
I
That's
know
exactly what they are.
that's what I'm saying. Here's the thing, though. Okay, given a choice, I have to go with the Cinnabon because of Better Call Saul.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm not saying it's a good reason, but that's the reason. It's just that I can't taste a Cinnabon without hearing Address Unknown. It's a fact. Either that or hearing like the Lalo song, not that Lalo, the actual Lalo who composed like the theme to like the whole Cinnabon con. Anyway, okay, so let's see. So Larry David, there's something off with these eggs. Now, now we learn later the answer to this, but in the moment, what did you think? Do you think the eggs were being used or not being used?
I think Larry's just kind of full of shit in general with the egg situation.
Yeah.
I don't really think he can tell the difference.
Well, we learn later that the chef has been eating all the eggs.
True.
That Larry David wrote. So I think so. That's the thing, but you're right though. He could just be him, but he's right though. That's
I genuinely don't think he knows the difference though. Like you said, it is just a going along with Irma thing.
Yeah. Hey, but seriously, Rob Riggle's character, I think he did something to Larry David really digs in about the whole thing of like he just wanted her pancakes. I don't think he wanted her pancakes. I think he was just being really nice. What do you think?
I got that vibe.
Right? Because here's the thing. I love it when Rob Riggle plays these super nice people occasionally. He doesn't always do it. When he does it like this, like, oh man, Rob Riggle's playing a really nice guy here.
Uh-huh.
So I really enjoyed that. It's like, yeah, he just gave her his breakfast. That was really nice. All right. So again, but Larry David, he will not let it go, which leads to this whole expose thing with Willie. Ricky, tell him what happens.
I mean, this is definitely the most ridiculous part of the episode. Probably the highlight of the episode is Larry is just so desperate to make himself look good in this piece that Willie's doing about him that he wants to expose what's going down in the kitchen. So he leads him into the kitchen. Dragon, the chef is just I love how no nonsense the chef is.
Yeah.
Just like, no. Club members not allowed back in the kitchen.
But he's really favorable to Willie Geist, though.
He is, yeah. Willie Geist will at least give him the time of day.
Now, here's the thing. The two eggs that are separated, knowing what we know about the chef, do you think those are Larry's eggs?
I think they were Larry's eggs, yes.
Absolutely. Every time I saw it, I was like, those are two separated eggs. Larry is absolutely right about the separated eggs. And I think Willie Geist...
They're just sitting there all conspicuous-like.
And he is sleeping on the story of the century compared to this whole Disgruntled thing.
Sure.
I love that. I love that Larry, despite how crazy he looks in this moment, how he's just really unnecessarily digging into it here.
The whole thing about the different shades of brown, that's kind of like, I'm on Willie's side there. It's kind of ridiculous.
Now here's what I was expecting. I was thinking, okay, Larry David had the brown eggs and the actual eggs were white. That's what I was expecting. I didn't expect them all to be brown. Like that's of course, if they're all going to be brown, there's going to be no way to tell.
Exactly.
I just thought they'd be okay, like store-bought white eggs. Are all kitchen eggs like brown? Do you think, or like?
I'm not Dragon again. I'm allergic to eggs. I'm not the person to ask.
I know you're. I know you.
I do not know this information.
I did. I'm saying you're a foodie. Have you ever been to one of those restaurants where you see them prepare the meals?
No, I haven't.
Okay,
I'm
that's why I'm
sorry.
asking. I don't know. You get around a lot. Anyway, I was taking pictures of food. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you saw something. Okay. Anyway, point being, yes, that's the weird thing because the egg thing has a more interesting payoff than the disgruntled thing. Disgruntled thing's okay. Well, someone's unhappy and they made a little posting about it.
Mhm.
You know. Okay. So okay, getting back to the therapy session here. So Larry Davis is digging into it, like yelling at yelling at Melanie here.
I'd like to think he's yelling specifically to for Leon's benefit too, right?
I mean, that is kind of the yes,
That
that's the
that, that
point.
kind of went through my head. Like he's kind of trying to test the thin walls out a little bit.
I think that sounds a little too genuine, though, to be like completely man. I think in some part he knows he needs to be heard, but
Well, I
still,
think he's annoyed. I definitely think he's annoyed, but I think he's using the Leon thing as like an outlet to raise his voice. I think, like
that's true.
subconsciously at least.
And we know Larry David does not respect this woman as a therapist at all, so he's not
Well,
giving
as
it.
he shouldn't, Dragon, as he
I know.
shouldn't.
That's
He's
what I'm saying.
very right to do so. He's
I
very
think
right
he's
in that opinion.
so he's using it as a great opportunity to do so. I'm saying that the stars are aligning to like, okay, I need to prove a point here, and also the insecurity of this room just to show how ridiculous this woman is.
Right,
Anyway, so
right.
yelling at her and everything. And anyway, so Leon hears this, but then he's expecting, okay, urine sample. This is okay, Mr. Black, take off your pants. Like, wait, what?
Oh,
And
God.
and Leon, it's just like curse at the top is on mother,
Motherfucker!
And this is like, yeah, you're not a piss doctor. You're you're this. So that to me was the line of the episode.
That was yeah. I mean those two lines for sure. Yeah, I think this is definitely Leon's best episode this season so far, and he's had some good ones.
Just laughed so hard at poor Leon.
God.
But still, Leon really should have figured. Well, he's probably going to check the prostate though if it's like an examination. Unless you can like be very specific. I just
Larry should have figured, Dragon. It was Larry's idea.
Well, technically, no. It was more so Jeff's idea, wasn't it?
Okay, you're right. Jeff should have figured.
He should have, but that's I think Jeff kind of doesn't give a crap about Leon. If you really think about
Jeff
it,
doesn't give it. I honestly don't even really think Jeff gives that much of a crap about Larry. I just think I just think Larry makes him a bunch of money.
That's the thing. It feels like I think it's just more of a writing over time. Where I think Jeff professionally cares a lot about Larry David, and he is a good
Exactly. Yeah.
I think he cares about Larry David, but as seasons went on, as you probably saw, like season 7, for example, I think. There's this gag where I think it's in 7 where like Jeff's wearing sweatpants and Larry has a crisis. Like, okay, Jeff, I need your help. Says, well, I'm in sweatpants right now. I'm done for the day. So that kind of gag, that's what I'm talking about. Like, okay, Jeff's maybe lost a little bit of potency, like sporadically in places there. So in that regard, but yeah, you're right. Overall, Jeff will go to the path that benefits him most. Anywho, yeah. So Leon's getting the raw end of it, to put it tastefully. Meanwhile, okay, so after that, they prove like they hear him through the wall and everything. It's just that I heard. Okay, let's see. So, anyways, they're on the golf course. Now, Hobie here, the Rob Riggle character, he's chewing at Larry on the golf course, and you know what? Larry has absolutely every right to yell at his wife. Like he can't walk up to him and say, "You can't yell at my wife like that." He says, well, he absolutely can. He's paying top.
No, I agree. Given the circumstances, for sure.
Yeah.
Given the circumstances, yeah.
If anything, he's in the wrong for being all chatty with her. That's the thing. Like, no, he has absolutely every right to yell. He should yell at her more, in fact. For all the right. How terrible therapist she is. Okay. Let's see. So, anyways, he calls him, "You're disgruntled," and it's just very false. He was such a nice man swapping out the breakfast, but now just Hobie's just, he's just accusations and everything. Anyway, so then Takahashi's there. Says, "You disgruntled."
I knew it. It was you.
And then, here's what I'm saying, though. We redeemed Jeff a little bit here, but to be fair, again, this episode Jeff's been pretty on fire. He's good. we don't know who's completely at fault with Leon. It might have been Jeff, might have been Larry, might have been both of them. Who knows? It was everyone's fault. Leon should have known what a urologist does. Anyway, so Jeff, he kind of stands up for Larry there when Larry, he's just like, I'm disgruntled. So he cops to it. He says, you know what? I don't want Larry to go down for this. I'm sick of this place anyway. I'm disgruntled. And everyone does an I'm Spartacus moment. I'm disgruntled.
Very
Tiki.
much I am Spartacus, yeah.
Tiki, are you disgruntled?
I am disgruntled.
I am also disgruntled. Commenters, are you disgruntled?
We'll see.
Anyway, so then Tiger's like, "Buck out!" He's he's leaving. All right. So, anyways, then the bad therapist she outs Jeff as the actual disgruntled, and again, the reporter is there and he's listening all. Is that what if he got like he's on the other side of Watergate in the White House? It's like he's
right. Essentially, yes.
Yeah. Cookie, why can't you be disgruntled, man? Come on. This is one time. Nah, it's fine. You can be disgruntled or non-disgruntled as you want. It's a free country. Anyway, so anyways, the bad therapist as Jeff gets outed, and then also the whole and the club chef's eating all Larry's eggs. But I love the look on the reporter's face, like Larry David was right. There actually was a story there.
Indeed. Smurfy's Law. I mean, it's up to you, bro.
Whatever you want. Just we're kind of going for an I'm Spartacus thing here, but moment's kind of passed. So
I guess the commenters just aren't into it. All right, that's fair. That's
fine. I'll cry myself to sleep later. It's okay.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway, so that's the episode.
Well, Dragon, I cry myself to sleep every time anyone criticizes a movie because people work really hard on movies. Thought I'd try it out. That's a Chris Stuckman 2024 reference, yo. I'll tell you about it off air anyways. Okay, final thoughts on the episode?
Thought it's a fun one, right?
Yeah, I really liked it. I don't think it's quite as I don't think it's got the high highs of episode 1, but no. I think it puts the season back on a really good track.
There is no Siri argument in this episode, I'm afraid.
Right. But a lot of really good setup and payoff, ridiculous situations, but relatable at the same time. I think it's pretty on point.
Yeah.
All right. So big thanks to Gios in the comments, as well as Smurfy's Law. Really appreciate y'all.
The Little Blue.
And also these Curb recaps, they've been pulling some really good numbers for the channel. So I just want to say I appreciate it, y'all. Even if you're not in the chat, just people coming and watching it. I really appreciate it. I see the numbers, and I acknowledge that I am pleasantly surprised at how many people are tuning in to hear us talk about the show. So yeah. All right, Dragon. We will be back next week. See y'all later, folks.
# breakfast grudge.
Pretty
early.